Instagram for real estate agents. One of the most common questions that I get is how to actually get clients on Instagram as a realtor. So what I wanted to do today is bring on my friend Dimitri, who's absolutely crushed it on Instagram as a realtor in Toronto, Ontario. And what he's done is been able to leverage Instagram stories and Instagram reels to get massive amounts of attention on his real estate business. And we're gonna walk through step by step exactly what you can do to get the same. Dimitri has over 40,000 Instagram followers. He's got over 200, almost 300,000 YouTube subscribers. And he's done it by leveraging these key strategies. So without further ado, let's dive straight into how to crush it as a realtor on Instagram. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And today I've got a super special guest. He's almost famous, it seems, but I've got on Demetrius, and he's in our group. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about all things Instagram, what's working, what's not, what you need to be doing in 2021 going forward. Because if somehow you've been living under a rock and you don't yet follow him, he was recognized as the top realtor this year in Toronto on social media, the top in Ontario, over 40,000 followers, almost 300,000 subscribers on his channel with his girlfriend. And he's been around the block. He's a social media beast. So super grateful to have a guy that comes on here and has walked the walk, not just talk the talk. So Demetrius, man, welcome to have you on, brother.
Holy, I was not expecting that intro. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's going to be exciting because you and I have both found success, great success using Instagram. It's kind of been our primary platform before we almost evolved into YouTube being a very primary platform for the growth of our business. But Instagram was always at the core of the foundation. So I think you and I align a lot because of the different features of Instagram that have gotten us the best results. But before we get into kind of the tactical information, why don't you give people just a brief intro of who you are, where you're from, and then we'll get right into the IG tips.
Sure. Okay. So I started selling real estate in 2017 back in Edmonton. And actually, I don't know if you remember, I reached out to you like right when I started selling real estate. I heard your podcast with Joshua Smith, and I reached out, said, hey, what's up? And we kind of just been back and forth ever since. But since then, you know, I moved to Toronto to be with my girlfriend. She lived out here. And going from Edmonton, where I knew, you know, I had a pretty big sphere, I had a decent following, to just starting fresh in Toronto, it was super difficult. I thought that I'd be able to leverage my social media more right off the bat, but it just turned out that just because you have it doesn't mean that it does anything for you. So it wasn't until I kind of figured out how to leverage it properly before I started seeing success here in Toronto. And then the last couple of years has been, you know, quite good. This year definitely got some good accolades with the #1 agent in Toronto and Ontario. So I've kind of just been rolling with it ever since and trying to stay on top of everything social media.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're out here representing Canada because I got #1 in Calgary and Alberta. So it's great, man, to be partners and to be know, recognized on similar lists. So, you
Super
know,
cool.
The first thing that we have to talk about, which I ask everybody, is why this platform? You know, everybody seems to kind of have their own niche. You've got John Pena that, you know, did really well and excelled with YouTube. You've got, you know, Tharmila that did really well with KV Core and Facebook ads. But you have always had an extraordinary presence on Instagram. Why was that kind of a platform that you realized, hey, I should start to become pretty active on this?
Yeah, and honestly, like, I didn't really put as much thought into it as maybe I should have. It was just more the fact that this is the platform that I spend the most time on, and it's the one that I understand. And I was like, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to use something that I enjoy using. So I just kind of picked up my phone. I actually, when I first moved to Toronto, like I said, like, I had a pretty tough time. I thought, like, you know, business was just going to roll in, and it was just definitely not. And I'm like, hey, I got to figure this out. And, you know, I'm a big fan of the, you know, rip off and copy, you know, style of things. I found someone in my marketplace who was doing very, very good things with social media. And I kind of, you know, latched onto it, reached out to them. You know, they helped me out figuring out how to leverage it properly. And after that, it's just been game over. I've just made it a part of my business to the point where now, like, I recognize that my time on Instagram is me lead generating. It's not me wasting time. It's not even like, DMs, this, that. Like, I might as well be responding to client emails because this is where I communicate with people. So, it was just a platform that I got comfortable with. And I feel like it's one that a lot of people are on. Is it the most, efficient? That's up for debate. You're killing it on YouTube, but it's my weapon of choice.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I love that you alluded to, it's not that you're using it, it's how you're using it. And I always like to use the analogy of using social media as a tool, not a toy. You see a lot of people using it as a toy where they're going on the explore page, scrolling, refreshing, seeing what pops up. But the people that are actually generating business from Instagram are using it as a tool. It's a lead generation tool to attract clients, stay top of mind, build your brand, and start to build your business. So there's two kind of aspects of Instagram that you and I both talked about previously that have generated both of us significant results more so than the traditional part, which is the feed. So you and I have done well with stories, and then now we're seeing incredible success with Reels. But I know stories are a hot topic for a lot of agents. So why don't you kind of talk about what have stories done for you? How should people be using them? And why are they important compared to most people thinking your feed is all that matters?
Yeah. Like, funny enough, like if you go look at my feed, it's honestly, it's almost embarrassing. Like, I don't post on it very often. And the photos, they're whatever. And it just goes to show you that you don't need to have professional photos and this and that to build a business. I basically just utilize my stories, and I think the candidness of the stories and like how it's unfiltered almost, everybody sees their feed posts and it's filtered. It's not even a real depiction of what actually is, happening. And I feel like people like the raw, the behind the scenes, the real stuff. So, using stories, it kind of gives them that feeling of like actually being there with you. And then on top of that, just being consistent, it's like dripping on them every day. Like, think of like, those drip emails that, used to be the bread and butter for people. They're like, this is the best way to stay in touch, but nobody likes emails. Like, they don't even get open. But Instagram stories, people are bored and they click there. And the more you post, you slowly work your way up to the top of their story feed. And it just helps you stay top of mind. And like I said, even when I started at the beginning, I probably posted stories every single day about real estate for 4 months before I started getting any calls. But it's like, you're reminding them, I'm in the business. I'm good at what I do. I'm trying to drop value anywhere I can. If it's not valuable or if it's not entertaining, don't post it. Like, I literally lived and breathed by that rule. And, if you stay consistent, people are just like, okay, I'm ready to buy and sell. And who has been on my page every single day? And that's why stories, I think, are the best. You trying to post on your Instagram feed every day is just going to be almost impossible. So stories, quick, easy, whip out your phone, take a video, especially as real estate agents. We run into cool stuff all the time. It could be a crummy house. It could be a really luxurious house, and anything in between. Like, I can find a way to make content out of pretty much anything at this point. And I think, like, once you train your brain at the beginning, it's kind of hard, but then you start looking for it, right? And now, you're a content creator more than you are like, just showing a house.
Yeah, and I think it's great because you hear people like Ryan Serhant or other people, Gary Vee, talking about vlogging. But the problem with vlogging for most people is that it's extraordinarily time consuming. It takes a lot of effort to edit. You have to plan it ahead of time. And while theoretically, when you get to the point like, you and Ika are, when you've got a business around it, a model behind it, yes, vlogging is one of the best things you can do. But for those looking to just get started, it is a mammoth of a task to try and tackle. But you've got these people like these big top producers with full-time staff doing the content creation for them, saying this is what you have to do, but new agents don't have the budget. So I love that stories allow you to maintain that top of mind awareness. And again, like you say, it's such a great way to build the like, know, and trust factor, because it's unfiltered, it's raw, it's authentic. You show your true self. Because you can be as pristine and perfect as possible, but I know a lot of agents in any market that aren't what they seem like in person that they are on their social media. So, you know, one thing that I'd like to ask you is, for somebody that says, all right, you know, Dem and Mike haven't really been using stories, how should I go about starting? Because I do follow your stories, obviously, and I find you're very good at almost like vlogging. Like, you take people on the journey, and it seems like it's almost a natural process of your business. So for you, you know, when you have showings tonight, do you just say, okay, I'm going here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to film that? What does it look like for somebody looking to start today on stories? What kind of action and little steps should they take?
Yeah, and honestly, like it does take a little bit of practice before you get into the flow of it, but not as much as, you know, like you said, full-time vlogging. It's like your mini vlog. And I started by just doing little property tours, and then you start seeing quirky things, and you start to like train your brain to look for the content. And now, like, when I go out on a showing, or if I go out on a home inspection, like, I'll look at my calendar and be like, okay, what do I got going on today? And depending on what it is, I'll be like, okay, that's a good opportunity to get, you know, my inspector with his head up the attic looking for mold, like, you know, and making some sort of a joke or whatever the case may be. But I try to, you know, like, see opportunities. If you're just starting out, like, I was at the point where I was literally booking showings at interesting properties for myself just to go and, you know, have content to shoot. So, you know, even if that's what you need to do, just so that you can get going on it, once you get moving on it, you know, tell yourself, I'm posting an Instagram story, you know, minimum every day. You know, your brain will start to get trained for it. And it doesn't even, like, the Instagram stories don't even take time out of my day anymore. Like, it's so natural that it just happens, you know, maybe a few minutes here, just putting some stickers on it, whatever the case may be. And, you know, away we go. But I would say just go. If you got nothing to do, you got no content, go find it, you know, go book a showing at a cool property, whether it's luxurious, whether it's an absolute dump, whether it's got, like, you know, I seen one the other day that had like 2 toilets side by side, like, you know, like, there's interesting stuff out there, and people love real estate.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just about documenting that process, because, you know, people seem to overcomplicate, thinking that they need something like some $1 million listing to highlight, or something like, you know, shocking to show people. But at the end of the day, people watch $1 million listing because they like the behind the scenes aspect of real estate. Become that agent of your market and just document what you're already doing, and adding your clients on social media so that they can continue to see what you're up to is again, a really great way to, instead of dripping them or calling them once a month, being like, hey, John, do you want to buy or sell this month, or know anybody? You can constantly stay top of mind with them. Now, for you, what has Instagram, before we get into Reels, what has Instagram done for your business? Because I think that's something that I'd love to talk about before getting into kind of the trend of 2021. Is a lot of people think you can't get clients from Instagram. A lot of people think it's too saturated, you can't build your brand on there. So there's a lot of misconceptions, and I'd love for you to just share with people, what kind of tangible, like, closed transaction results have you actually gotten for your business from Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, man, last year, 90% of my clients came through Instagram. Like, all of my appointments booked were almost booked over Instagram DM. Like, I didn't book them through, like, I didn't even get them to email. Like, you know, you start communicating with the people, and it might not be your first communication. It might just be, you know, they're like, haha, that's funny, or, ooh, that's interesting. And then you just respond, but then you show them that the line of communication is now open, right? Like, I will respond to your DM. And then sure enough, a few months later, they're like, you know what? I'm looking at selling, and boom, they reach out because they know they hit you on Instagram, that you're gonna respond. And then you push for an appointment, and that's the end of the story. Like, and not only that, at that point, you're not even competing with other agents, because They didn't come across your ad online. This isn't a cold lead. This person is now reaching out to you. You are not hounding them. They are coming to you. So at that point, you're not even competing. Like, they already know, like, and trust you, and they've already made the decision in their mind when they reached out that you're the person that they want to sell their home, find them a new home, whatever the case may be. So I would say not only has it brought me all my business, but it has done it in a way where I'm working with people I already know that we're on the same level. We're going to like each other. There's no personality conflicts, because even if there was a personality conflict, they wouldn't have reached out in the first place, and I know that some of the stuff I post on Instagram is going to turn some people away. And I almost like borderline put some controversial stuff out there. I might act a certain way because I would rather really speak to a certain group of people than just be like generic and speak to nobody. So knowing that I'm also shutting the door on other people, that's fine. I don't want to work with those people. I have an avatar of people that I want to work with that, makes my life more enjoyable. We all get to have fun. And it's just, honestly, I can't think of a better way to actually do business.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like you say, I think what's exciting about it is that it turns your client interactions and your lead interactions from almost like selling yourself to more of a consultation. It's like, hey, we've already made up our mind that we're on the same page. And I love that you are very similar to me in terms of there's some polarity to your personal brand. Some love it, many love it, but there's a good portion of people that might not resonate with it. And I love that, because now only the people that you're going to have a strong, great working relationship with actually reach out to you. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. So coming into 2021, I think you and I were on the same page where we kind of turned a bit of a blind eye to Reels in the beginning, where I saw Reels and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. TikTok number 2. These are going to just be a fad. And then you started seeing the engagement on them. And now this is a crazy stat that you might not even know. I saw a stat yesterday when I was doing some research that in terms of real estate on Instagram, not the industry, but in terms of the volume of content that's currently on Instagram, 50% of Instagram's platform is now made up of Reels. It's been active for a couple months, and 50% of the content on that platform is short form Reels. And I think, you and I are going to jam out about Reels for a second here, but the moral of the story is the importance of being able to ride this curve of short form content. Because you look at TikTok, you look at Instagram Reels, you look at YouTube Shorts are, in beta test in multiple countries. There's a lot of people that turned a blind eye to short form because they thought you had to dance around like an idiot, like a 17-year-old on TikTok. But as we've both seen, you can get hundreds of thousands of views doing a property preview. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I think for people looking to come into 2021 and get one step ahead of the curve, you've got to get outside of your comfort zone and leverage a trend. And Reels are that trend. So what are your thoughts on Reels? How should people be using them in 2021?
Yeah, and exactly. Like, when it came out, I'm like, oh, I wasn't on TikTok, and I'm still like, just starting to get on TikTok, and the Reels, I was just like dreading it. It's like, I already got a bread and butter that I like and I trust, and now you're going to change everything up on me. But you just have to start. I've made a few, and there's a few that I didn't even post. And I'm a big believer in like done is better than perfect, but like some of them were pretty bad that I just didn't post them. But like, you got to get to know the app and how it works. So then when you're out in the field, you can see that content. And even now, like with the Reels, I posted a couple of them where I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing an opportunity where I can like do a cool transition. And what I like, and the same thing applies though, like if it's not entertaining or if it's not, knowledgeable or value, don't post it. So, for real estate agents, it could be a property tour, but it's gotta be entertaining, I think that what I'm gonna start to do is try to incorporate some tips or some sort of value in the form of these Reels. And I've seen a couple people in other industries outside of real estate really do it well, and I don't see a lot of people doing it yet in real estate. But this is actually a conversation that I had last night with just a media company that I'm working with on setting up a day and batching a ton of content. And that's the other beauty thing about it, is it is short form content and you can batch the heck out of it. I could probably shoot, a few hours and get 10 of these things out that I can just trickle out, throughout the month while I'm still posting my Instagram stories. But I think everybody kind of has to get on it. You don't have to dance around and be stupid. It could be as simple as pan shots. It could be, pumping out buyer tips, seller tips, really anything you can think of. But once you get going, your mind starts to work differently, and it is tough to come out with fresh content, but you will start to think of new ways. The same way that even for you, how many YouTube videos have you done? And you're still coming out with fresh content. You find a way to come out with something,
Yeah, and I think, one thing that people really have to take note of for Reels is, there's two things that work really well on Reels as a realtor that require almost no effort, is kind of the pan style property tours. If you've got a 15-second reel or a 30-second reel, you can switch between the two. Let's say you've got a 30-second one, do 6 panning shots of 5 seconds per room, and you've got a reel. And some of these reels of properties are getting tens, hundreds of thousands of views on accounts with 5,000 followers, 500 followers. So the engagement is crazy. And then, as Dimitri alluded to, is buyer tips, sellers tips. What I love about Reels, and I hope people really understand this, is when you're putting out long form content on YouTube, for example, there's a certain expectation of quality. Your audio has to be dialed. They're expecting 1080p HD content. You need to have a decent looking background. They're expecting clear delivery. We're kind of at this point where people are almost selfish with what they're expecting. But the beauty of Reels, TikTok, short form content is you don't need to have perfect, pristine content. You can do what would usually take 8 minutes to do a 5 tip for buyers on YouTube. You can do in 30 seconds with your iPhone in your kitchen, and that's acceptable. And I think it's great because it gives people a lower barrier to entry to start getting comfortable putting themselves out there on video content, where it's widely accepted to be unprofessional on Reels and still get great engagement. And I think that's something that people need to realize. And the one thing I have to say before I let you keep going is, there's something that you said is about not putting out content unless it's entertaining or it has some sort of value. So the formula that I always use, which is actually from Andy Frisella, which is E2I equals E. So what that is E times 2 times I equals E. Entertainment, education, impact equals engagement. So if you're doing something and you're posting something, make sure that even if it's not the best quality, that you're providing either some sort of level of impact, whether that be highlighting a buyer that just took possession of their property, that's impactful to their life. If you're doing entertainment, quirky stuff that you see at properties, if you're doing education, tips, tricks, secrets, helping buyers, sellers, you already have the knowledge to do this if you've taken your license. But it's important to do that self-audit, because I see a lot of people that will take a picture of, their freaking dog on the couch and think that's acceptable for Instagram. You're not getting shit from that. So I just had to say that because it's important to audit your own content.
And I think it's good to, maybe the dog isn't a total waste. It just better not be the dog all the time. And I try to make a point, I know you do too, I try to make a point of getting on the camera with my face, because it's easy to start getting comfortable behind the camera, point of view shot, but you got to get in front. You got to speak to them so that they hear your voice. They know what you're about, like I said, push that kind of your own brand, and you might steer some people away, you might not, whatever, but it's important that they know who the person behind the camera is. But yeah, basically you're exactly right. And even the for sale, just sold, whatever, you have to post those to add to your credibility. But for the most part, I ask myself, entertaining or knowledgeable or value. And if it's not either one of those two, I'm second guessing whether I should post it or not.
Yeah, definitely. So, as people are coming to the end of this and wondering what to do, because, I've got not the biggest following, but over 20, you've got over 40. We've been around the block, and now this platform is like second nature to us. But there's a lot of people that have only had a personal profile. They're just switching into a business profile. They're starting to create content. For the ones that don't have 40,000 subscribers and are getting sent cans of soup and deodorant, what do people need to do to take action today?
Honestly, they just need to get out there and start doing it. Start coming out with content. The numbers they're not as important as you may see. Like I said at the start, that I kind of gravitated towards an agent who was utilizing their Instagram properly in my mind, and their numbers, like they had less than 7,000 followers at the time, and they were pulling in over $500,000 worth of business from it. It's not about quantity, it's more about quality. And even for mine, I'm out here posting about Toronto real estate. The amount of my followers that are actually in Toronto is substantially smaller than the people who follow me. And I'm really trying to speak to a certain type of group of people, and it may not be big. You're trying to get, an extra few deals a year out of this, or maybe you're trying to get, 10 or whatever that looks like. You don't need hundreds of thousands of followers. This could be just to your family and friends. This could be just a reminder to your family, your friends, your existing sphere that you're in real estate and this is what you do, because you don't want to be on the other side of that where you hear your family and friend when you've another agent, because that's the most heartbreaking news you've ever heard. But I promise you, if you put out Instagram stories every single day, they won't. They'll be reminded that you're their guy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, one of the things that I've always admired about you is not only how consistent you are, but also understanding that when you meet you're the same person as on social media. And I think that's a big thing, a big takeaway is everybody's goal should be to get to the point that the people that are following you feel like they already know you as a friend. And I love the fact that you've been able to leverage this platform to build such deep-rooted connections where people truly feel like, when you look at the comments of some of your YouTube videos, it's incredible. They feel like they're their best friends.
Literally.
So you've nailed it with that, but it's a great point to say that people can't get skewed by the numbers, because there's a lot of people, and I get message, I'm sure you do too, from people saying, well, Mike, how can you help me get 10K followers? I want 10K followers. Well, if 9,950 of those are from, a different country or a different province or a different state, what does that do for your business? And I think a lot of people are trapped with looking at the vanity metrics and not understanding that, as you alluded to, if you've got 100 people that diligently follow you and are potentially going to be buying or selling in the next year or 2 years, you're a top producer in any market. Yeah. And a lot of people are focusing on quantity, not quality. So I absolutely love what you've done with it. And I think you're a great role model for those that are, getting into it, but also for those that are looking to take it to the next level. The final thing I'd love to ask with you, because, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure to be business partners with you, is why did you make the switch to eXp Realty after being at a couple of different brokerages, very traditional, but you also had good relationships with your old brokers. So what kind of brought you over to looking at this option?
Yeah, when I was leaving my last brokerage, the splits were whatever, but going out as a solo agent, I was like just looking for something a little different. And I mean, even like my Instagram, like we just talked about, like I always try to do what other people are doing, rip off and copy, but I want to do it my way or do it a little bit different. You got to stand out. And eXp was the only brokerage that stood out to me. I could go interview with all the other ones and they all offered the same thing, just slightly in different ways, where eXp was just something completely different. And then on top of that to, partner with you and the Wolf Pack, and like, everybody in there is super geared towards social media, and that's totally my jam. So I was just honestly like, it wasn't even a whole lot of thought went in. I'm like, absolutely, this is exactly what I'm into.
Yeah, and it's incredible because for people like you, I think it's this big transition from going from your brokerage leveraging your influence to you leveraging your influence. Where for me, I didn't, similar to you, I didn't come into EXP and intend to run my business the way that everybody has created a stigma around, which is I didn't want to come in and do what people so-called is recruiting and start messaging people. I, to date, have never messaged anybody saying you have to come join this brokerage, because I think that if you lead with value and you build a personal brand like you've done incredible with, people naturally want to work and be in proximity with you. But at previous brokerages, that was just bringing a ton of agents to my other brokerage, and I saw $0 from that. But now I get to partner with people on a more intimate level, and I still get compensated, meaning that I get to continue to give them better training tools and resources for free. So now, you know, people that would usually have to pay you hundreds, thousands of dollars to get mentorship or coaching can come in, get compensated through the company, while they now have access to one of the top agents in North America on social media to help them scale. And I think there's never been this opportunity of intimate connections with leaders in order to help other people scale their business. So I love it. And I think, you know, it's opened up doors just to allow those people that reach out to you saying, hey, Dem, I'm getting my license. How can I partner with you? Or, hey, Dem, I'm a top producer, but I'm lacking in social media. Now you've got the ability to say, I've got a solution.
Exactly. And I cannot believe how like collaborative it is. Like the amount of people that I've worked with on our group, even like outside of our group with EXP and like referrals, it's just insane. Everybody wants to work together. And like before, when I was on a team that I paid, you know, over 50% of your commission or whatever, like I get more value from this team at the Wolfpack than I do from them. And I was like, you know, on their team. Like, so it just, it has completely exceeded my expectations, and it makes it fun, man. It makes it fun.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things for me too, is at the end of my 3 years of real estate, I was at the end of my third year, and it was kind of like, okay, coming into the fourth year, what am I going to do? 5 more deals? What am I going to do? 10 more deals the next year? And it's like, you get caught on this hamster wheel where the only thing you can do is to continue to try and do more deals. But the problem with that is it requires you to invest more time. So you continue to pull yourself further back from the lifestyle that you wanted when you got your freaking license. So this, with new countries opening and new people partnering with us from all over the world, is so exciting. So guys, we're going to end it here. Again, I'm going to make sure to link Dem, his Instagram, his YouTube, both of his channels on there, because you've got to check them out and you'll get to know him pretty quickly. I'm sure Ike is doing something behind the computer right now.
Big time, big time.
I can see that smile. I've seen it before. So make sure you check him out. You'll see you know, some quirky stuff on his couples channel. I'm sure you guys will get a laugh out of it. So man, thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you check him out. He's leading by example. And if you guys follow him, you'll know the exact blueprint of how to crush it on Instagram in 2021. So thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.